Help us hit our first 1,000 subscribers. Your support drives us to create even more wonderful stories. Thanks for being part of our journey. In this video, she said the promotion meant everything to her. I just didn't realize she'd sleep with her boss to get it, but what she didn't know was that I was already 5 steps ahead. Chapter 1: The Promotion. Emily was glowing when she walked through the door that Friday evening, practically humming with excitement as she dropped her bag near the kitchen and spun into Marcus's arms. "I think I'm finally getting that promotion," she said. Eyes shining, Marcus smiled and kissed her forehead, genuinely happy for her. She'd worked so hard, stayed late nearly every night, and even skipped their anniversary dinner last week to meet deadlines. But something deep inside him, something he didn't quite understand yet, twitched. It wasn't just the missed dinners or late nights, it was the way she had started dressing in the mornings. Tailored blazers, bright lipstick, heels she hadn't worn since their wedding rehearsal dinner. She used to complain about her boss, Daniel Foster, Daniel this, Daniel that. Marcus used to hear it all, how he micromanaged, how he bragged about his Tesla, how he gave her credit and then took it away in front of clients. But lately, silence. No mentions. Like he had vanished from her world. Except he hadn't. Emily had started locking her phone, something she never did before. Her notifications were always face up on the counter. Now they were hidden. And that morning, when Marcus asked if she'd be home for dinner, she simply said, "Don't wait up," without offering a reason. Still, Marcus wanted to believe the best. He told himself he was just being paranoid, that she was under pressure, that it was all in his head. But when she fell asleep early on the couch, exhausted, and her phone buzzed with a text, "Can't wait to see you Monday. You looked amazing today." Marcus didn't recognize the number, but the message burned into his brain. He stared at her sleeping face for a long moment. Then, silently, he stood up, walked to the bedroom, and pulled out the small black flash drive he hadn't used in years. Marcus was a cybersecurity consultant, and if Emily had secrets, he knew exactly how to find them. You won't believe what Marcus uncovers next. Stay with me. The truth is only beginning to unravel. Coming up in the next part, Emily starts to slip up, and one small mistake opens the door to a shocking trail of lies. Chapter 2: Slips and Shadows. The next morning, Emily rushed out before sunrise, claiming she had team leadership workshop. Across town, Marcus stood in the kitchen with his coffee going cold, staring at the calendar on the fridge. There was no workshop listed, and Emily was always meticulous about her schedule. That's when Marcus opened his laptop and inserted the black flash drive. Within minutes, he'd bypassed the basic protections on Emily's old cloud backups. Most of it was work files, until he stumbled on a folder marked personal. Inside were dozens of photos. Some were innocent. Selfies, trips they took together, moments with friends. But nestled between them were 2 images that froze Marcus's blood. One was a mirror selfie Emily had taken at work, wearing the exact same outfit she wore last night. The second was blurry but unmistakable. Her reflection in a darkened office window, and just behind her, a man's hands on her hips. The timestamp? 11:48 p.m. The same night she told Marcus she had to work late on a client presentation. He slammed the laptop shut, heart pounding, trying to make sense of what he just saw. Was it a one-time mistake? Was she in danger? Or was this something deeper? Something she was choosing? Later that day, Marcus decided not to confront her. Not yet. Instead, he called Emily's office under the guise of scheduling a lunch surprise. But the receptionist hesitated. "Oh, Emily's not here today," she said. "She's attending the management retreat with Daniel Foster." Marcus felt the floor shift beneath him. She had lied, not about a late night, but about where she even was that day. He ended the call with a polite thank you, then sat in the silence of their home. She hadn't just bent the truth, she had erased it completely. That night, Emily came home around 8 p.m., hair slightly curled, lipstick still perfect, and when Marcus asked, "How was the workshop?" she smiled and replied, "Long, but productive." He nodded, and that's when he noticed something he hadn't before, a faint smudge on her neck. Lipstick, not her color. What will Marcus do with the truth he's uncovered? And what new lies are still waiting to surface? You won't want to miss what comes next. Keep watching. In the next chapter, Marcus decides to take action, and what he uncovers changes everything. Chapter 3: The Setup. The next morning, Marcus sat in his car outside Emily's office building, his coffee untouched and cold in the cup holder. His eyes scanned every face that passed the glass doors, waiting for one in particular. Daniel Foster. Emily had mentioned his name before, casually, always with the same phrase. He's harmless, but Marcus now knew better. He didn't want to confront them yet. He wanted evidence, something undeniable. So he drove to a tech store across town and bought a tiny GPS tracker and a pocket voice recorder. The kind that could slip into a purse unnoticed. That evening, when Emily was in the shower, Marcus carefully placed the tracker into the lining of her work tote. He had rehearsed this moment in his head over and over. No shaking hands, no second thoughts. He needed to know what she was hiding and, more importantly, why. The following day, Marcus watched the live GPS feed on his phone. At first, it was boring: coffee shop, office, lunch meeting. Then around 4 p.m., the dot started moving again, but not toward home. It moved toward a luxury downtown hotel. He zoomed in. The Fairmont Plaza, room service, spa, private conference rooms, and apparently now, secrets. Marcus's heart pounded. He screenshot every location ping and saved them in a new folder labeled insurance. He didn't want revenge. He wanted clarity, and maybe, deep down, he wanted to be wrong. Emily came home that night as if nothing had happened. She kissed him on the cheek, laughed at something on her phone, and mentioned how draining meetings with Daniel always are. Marcus just nodded, the weight of what he knew pressing against his chest like a stone. He knew exactly where she had been. He checked the GPS history one more time. Room 814, 2 hours and 37 minutes. The next step was clear. He had to go there himself, but he wouldn't be going in alone. Things are starting to spiral. Will Marcus uncover the truth? Or is he walking into something far darker than he expected? You won't believe what happens next. Keep watching. In the next chapter, Marcus sets his trap, but someone else walks into it first. Chapter 4: The Trap is Set. Marcus didn't sleep that night. He lay awake staring at the ceiling, listening to Emily's soft breathing beside him, wondering how many times she had lied, how many stories had been carefully crafted, how many work dinners were just a cover. The next morning, he called in sick. He had one goal now: to get inside room 814 at the Fairmont without being seen. But instead of barging in unannounced, Marcus wanted to watch, to observe, and most of all, to record everything. He reached out to an old college friend named Ben, who worked in hotel security. They hadn't spoken in years, but when Marcus explained the situation, Ben agreed to help. No questions asked. An hour later, Marcus was slipping into a nondescript staff hallway that led to a hidden maintenance closet directly opposite room 814. From inside, there was a narrow peephole used by cleaning staff, and it gave him the perfect angle. It was already 3:58 p.m., 2 minutes until check-in. Marcus's phone buzzed. The GPS showed Emily's bag had just arrived at the hotel. She was right on schedule. At 4:03, the hallway camera caught her. Emily, smiling, wearing the same navy blue blazer she'd worn on their anniversary dinner just a month ago. And behind her, carrying 2 coffees, was Daniel Foster. Marcus's jaw clenched as he hit record. On his phone camera, the two of them entered room 814 and shut the door. For the next 20 minutes, Marcus stood frozen, heart pounding, listening to the muffled laughter and snippets of flirtation filtering through the wall. And then, a sharp knock echoed down the hallway. Not at room 814. At his door, the maintenance closet. Marcus froze. He held his breath. Knock knock. Again. Then a voice. Hey! This area's restricted. Who's in there? It wasn't Ben. It was someone else. A hotel manager. Marcus's heart slammed in his chest. He couldn't be caught here. Not yet. Not before he had what he came for. So he did the only thing he could. He quietly opened the emergency exit inside the closet and slipped out into the stairwell. He was shaking, but not from fear, from fury. He had seen enough, and now he was going to take back control. You think that was intense? It's only just beginning. The trap has been triggered, but Marcus's next move will leave everyone stunned. Don't go anywhere. Keep watching. Coming up next, Marcus sends a message that Emily and Daniel will never forget. Chapter 5: The Message. Marcus knew that confronting Emily face to face wouldn't give him peace. He didn't just want answers. He wanted her to feel the betrayal, to taste the confusion, the fear, and the shock that had devoured him since that first moment of doubt. That night, he sat at his desk, piecing together the footage, the video from the hotel hallway, a screenshot of Emily and Daniel entering room 814, the audio he'd secretly recorded during their muffled conversation through the wall. Full of soft laughter and flirtatious whispers, he added a timestamp to the corner. He didn't need to narrate anything. The images spoke for themselves. Then he transferred it all to a USB flash drive and titled the file, "Just Watch This." Marcus left the flash drive on Emily's pillow the next morning, along with a single rose and a note. "I took the day off. You might want to do the same." Then he left the house.
No screaming, no accusations.
Just silence, the kind that creeps under your skin. Emily called him an hour later. He didn't answer. She called again, then again. 10 missed calls by noon. By 1 p.m., a message, "Marcus, please, can we talk?" But Marcus wasn't done. He forwarded the same video to an anonymous email. The recipient, the human resources director of Emily's company. Subject line, "Inappropriate employee conduct, room 814. He didn't expect immediate consequences, but he wanted the seed planted. He wanted to see what bloomed. By evening, Emily was pacing the house like a caged animal, eyes red, voice shaking, asking over and over, "Why would you do this? Why didn't you just talk to me?" And Marcus, he sat there, calm, watching her unravel, because finally, she was the one drowning in uncertainty. But just as he thought he'd regained control, Emily said something that made his stomach drop. She whispered, "You don't understand, Marcus. It's not what you think." Daniel wasn't the only one. The room went silent. Not the only one. His breath caught. There was someone else? You thought the betrayal was over? Think again, because what Emily reveals next will tear everything apart. Keep watching. It's about to get even darker. Coming up, the second man, and the lie that changes everything. Chapter 6: The Second Shadow. Marcus froze as the words echoed through his head. Daniel wasn't the only one. Every muscle in his body tensed. He stared at Emily, waiting, needing her to say more, but she just stood there, biting her bottom lip, eyes darting around like she was calculating what to hide next. "Who?" Marcus finally asked, his voice barely a whisper. Emily looked away. It was before Daniel," she said. "Someone at the firm. A client. It only happened once. I swear." Marcus felt like the ground shifted beneath him. His mind raced. Before Daniel? So all this time, while they were still attending marriage counseling, when he thought they were repairing things, she was already tearing them down. "Who was it?" he asked again, louder this time. Emily hesitated. "His name was Blake. He's married too. It was stupid, a mistake." Marcus had heard the name before. Blake. He was one of her firm's biggest clients. She had mentioned him a dozen times over dinner. how charming he was, how demanding but important he was to their business. And now it all clicked. The late nights, the unexplained dinners, the weekend business trip she swore was just meetings. Marcus didn't scream, didn't yell. He just laughed. A hollow, bitter sound that filled the room like smoke. -2 affairs, Emily? He said, voice cracking. -2. She stepped toward him. I didn't love either of them. I felt invisible, Marcus, for so long. Like I didn't matter to you anymore. The words stung. He wanted to hate her, wanted to shut it all out. But deep inside, a small part of him wondered, had he failed her somehow? Had his silence and distance pushed her into this? But that thought died quickly when he remembered what she did next. Because Emily hadn't confessed out of guilt. She confessed because she was afraid. Afraid of what Marcus might do with the video. Afraid of what he already did with it. Then, his phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. You don't know the full story, Marcus. She lied to you about more than just us. Meet me, alone. Attached was a photo of Emily, sitting at a restaurant table, holding hands with Blake, but the photo wasn't from the past. It was from 2 days ago. 2 days ago. Emily's eyes widened when Marcus held the phone up. She didn't even deny it. She just whispered, I can explain. And that's when Marcus realized. This wasn't the past coming back to haunt them. It was the present still happening. And if you think it can't get worse, just wait, because in the next part, Marcus meets someone who reveals a truth more shocking than all the betrayals combined. Keep watching. You're not ready for what's coming next. Coming up next. The secret meeting and the betrayal buried beneath everything. Chapter 7, The Man in the Gray Coat. Marcus stood outside the small coffee shop just off Elm Street, heart racing. He didn't know what to expect, but when the man in the gray coat approached, Marcus instantly recognized him. He'd seen him once, months ago, in a photo on Emily's phone she said was from a conference. Now, that same man was standing in front of him, face serious, hands in his pockets. You must be Marcus, the man said. I'm Eric. We need to talk. Marcus didn't shake his hand. He just nodded toward the inside of the shop. They sat in a quiet corner. Eric leaned in. Emily's been lying to both of us. He began. Marcus frowned. What do you mean both of us? Eric sighed. I was her boyfriend. Before you. We ended things years ago, or so I thought. Marcus's stomach dropped. This wasn't some random affair. This was something older, more personal. Eric continued. She reached out to me a year ago. Said her marriage was falling apart. Said you were distant, cold. Marcus swallowed hard. That timeline matched the same period they stopped talking before bed, when things between them had quietly started to fracture. I was stupid, Eric said. I believed her. I thought maybe there was still something real between us. Marcus clenched his fists. So what happened? Eric looked away. She used me, then cut me off. I moved on. But then I saw her 2 weeks ago with another man. A third one. Not Daniel. Not me. Someone new. The air left Marcus's lungs. Another one. Eric pulled out his phone. Showed a grainy photo. Emily, at a rooftop bar, with someone Marcus didn't recognize. A man in a sharp navy suit. Hand resting on her lower back. She was laughing, leaning in close. Marcus's vision blurred. Who is he? Marcus asked, barely managing the words. I don't know, Eric replied, but I followed them. He drove her home that night. She kissed him in the car. Marcus felt something snap. His mind was spinning. I think she's running a game, Marcus. Eric said quietly, she's not just cheating, she's building something or hiding something. I don't know what, but I know this. We're not the only two. A silence hung between them. Marcus stared at the photo again. The third man, a stranger, but maybe the key to unlocking everything. Because now it wasn't just about betrayal. It was about control. secrets, manipulation, and Marcus needed answers. You think you've seen it all? Think again, because in the next chapter, Marcus digs deeper into Emily's world and uncovers something that changes not only how he sees her, but how he sees himself. Keep watching. It's about to explode. Up next, a hidden document, a familiar name, and a revelation that flips the entire story upside down. Chapter 8, The Hidden Contract. Marcus couldn't sleep that night. His mind kept replaying Eric's words, the rooftop bar photo, and that unknown man in the navy suit. Something deeper was going on. Something that didn't feel like just a series of affairs anymore. This felt strategic, planned. The next morning, while Emily was out on another supposed yoga class, Marcus made a decision. He unlocked her laptop. He hesitated. He'd never done this before. But now, trust was already shattered. Inside her email, most things looked normal. Work messages, newsletters, junk mail. But then, buried under a folder labeled Q4 Reports, he found a file called Private Consulting Contract PDF. The sender's name chilled him. Grant and Westman Holdings. The name matched the initials on the pen the man in the navy suit held in the rooftop photo. Marcus clicked it open. The document wasn't just business. It was a detailed contractual agreement between Emily and a private firm. It outlined a retainer for her social intelligence analysis, whatever that meant, plus additional bonuses for leveraged influence within close interpersonal circles. Marcus scrolled down. There was a clause about long-term embedded engagements, and then one sentence that made his blood turn cold. In the event of emotional breakdown or marital separation, the subject is to redirect attention back to the firm's target for Phase 2 engagement. What the hell was this? Was this real? Was Emily working for someone? Was he the target? Suddenly, everything started to make sense. The sudden intimacy with Eric, the mysterious third man, the increasing emotional distance. Was this all orchestrated? He checked the dates. The contract started over 18 months ago. Before things even got rocky between them, Marcus leaned back, staring at the screen. Emily hadn't just cheated. She turned their entire relationship into some kind of controlled experiment. For money. But why? And what exactly was Phase 2? The last page of the document had a single, short line. Subject unaware of full operational scope. Deployment window ends in 30 days. 30 days? Something else was coming, and Marcus knew. Whatever this game was, it wasn't over. You thought this was just a messy love triangle? Now the truth starts to unravel. Because in the next chapter, Marcus finds out that he's not the only one being monitored, and the person behind it all might be closer than he ever imagined. Keep watching, the story is about to go nuclear. Up next, surveillance footage, a hidden location, and a name that ties everything together. Chapter 9, The Surveillance Room. Marcus drove to the address listed on the final page of the contract. It was a warehouse on the outskirts of the city, disguised as a packaging facility. From the outside, it looked abandoned. But the moment he stepped inside, the air shifted, cold, sterile, electric. He followed the corridor, guided by the faint hum of machinery and low voices behind the walls. Finally, he reached a door with a keypad. His heart pounded. He guessed Emily's birthday, clicked open. Inside, the room was dimly lit with multiple monitors covering the walls. Each screen displayed live footage from different locations, restaurants, offices, even the living room of his own home. Marcus stood frozen. There were clips of him and Emily eating dinner, him brushing his teeth, him watching TV alone. Long after Emily had worked late, he had been under surveillance this entire time. And then one feed caught his eye. It was a live stream of Emily. She was in a sleek, modern office, sitting across from the man in the navy suit. They weren't talking, they were reviewing files. And behind them on the wall was a massive board with photos pinned to it. In the center of that board was Marcus's face. Suddenly, his phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. You were never supposed to find this. He turned around. A woman stood in the doorway. It wasn't Emily. It was Vanessa, his old boss's assistant from 5 years ago. The one he once had a minor argument with and completely forgot about. You don't remember me, do you? She said softly. I told you back then, the world is smaller than you think. And so is revenge. Marcus's mind raced. This wasn't just about Emily. This was orchestrated.
Alone con.
The betrayal went deeper than love. It was never just a relationship. It was a setup. But for what? Why? Vanessa smiled. You'll know, once the final phase begins, in 36 hours. Marcus's pulse spiked. What final phase? But she was already walking away. What is the final phase dash? And how many people were part of this twisted plan from the start? Stick around, because the next chapter delivers the ending you won't see coming. Everything unravels, everything explodes, and someone doesn't make it out alive. Coming up next, the truth Marcus never imagined. Chapter 10, the final phase. Marcus barely slept that night. The image of his own face pinned on that board haunted him. His mind raced through every memory with Emily. Every smile, every kiss, every "I love you." Was any of it ever real? At sunrise, he returned home. The house was quiet. Emily was in the kitchen, casually making coffee like nothing had happened. She looked up and smiled. You're up early. Marcus walked toward her, heart pounding, rage and disbelief burning in his chest. You want to tell me who Vanessa really is? He asked, voice sharp. Emily froze, the smile sliding off her face like melting wax. You went there, she whispered. You weren't supposed to. Yeah, Marcus interrupted. I wasn't supposed to know you've been working with her, or that I've been watched for months, or that my life has been part of some twisted project. Emily's face twisted. Not into guilt, but something closer to pity. It was never about you, Marcus, she said coldly. Not really. Before he could respond, the front door burst open. 2 men in black suits entered, fast and silent. They grabbed Marcus by the arms. Let go of me, he shouted, struggling. Emily calmly sipped her coffee. It's time you knew the truth, she said. The man you think you are? That version of you died 2 years ago. You just didn't notice. The men dragged him out and into a black van. Inside, Vanessa was waiting. We've been preparing you, she said. You're not just a subject, Marcus. You're the final test. What the hell are you talking about? He shouted. She leaned forward, her voice low and chilling. There's a company, a very private one. We find people like you, isolated, heartbroken, desperate, and we break them to rebuild them into something else. You were never married to Emily. She was assigned to you. Every memory you had with her was planted. Marcus shook his head violently. No, that's not possible. We had photos, friends, family. Vanessa smirked. We have technology. Then she opened a file. Inside were dozens of photos, not of him and Emily together, but behind-the-scenes images, him sedated, her sitting beside a man in a lab coat. You were part of a trial. You were erased and rebooted, but something went wrong. You began to remember. Marcus felt like the air had been knocked out of his lungs. Why me? Because, Vanessa whispered, you passed every stage, except this one. Suddenly, a sharp sting hit his neck. Everything went black. When he woke up, he was back in his bed. Sunlight poured through the curtains. Emily was next to him, asleep, just like every other morning. Had it all been a dream? But then his phone buzzed. Unknown number. Welcome back, Marcus. Phase 2 begins now. And just like that, his world began to shift again. The end? Or is it? What would you do if you found out your entire relationship was an experiment? Comment below. And if this story hooked you, Don't forget to stick around, because more like this are coming soon.